She who thrives. Phoenix rising. The true me. The ups and downs crazy in life. So take this journey with me. She who thrives. Yeah. Good morning, sunshines, and welcome to She Who Thrives podcast, a podcast about women who have faced different adversity in life and have overcome and became successful in their own right, in their own definition of what success means. But as I said in the last podcast, if you haven't heard it, March is about men. We are doing March Manifest, men's journey to strength and success. So I am excited because this month we're going to have 4 different men speaking about their journey and how they became successful in their own meaning, in their own right. And my very first guest that I wanted to have as my first guest is Ernie Plaza. And the reason why I wanted him to be my first guest is because he went through a journey with me. And the journey was purchasing my home, and we just purchased it in December, and he went through some shit with me. And I'm excited and glad that he didn't, fire me as a client in the whole process. But we started off before I even got divorced, and then trying to buy a house while being married. But he wasn't going to be on the house, and it was just a big mess. And then finally the decision was made to actually get divorced and, all of that. And then houses went through, it was just a mess. But anyways, I'm happy that it finally happened. I'm in my house that I really, really love. And of course, it's not going to stop there. I'm going to get more stuff. But while you're working with your real estate agent, you get to know the real estate agent. So he got to know me and I got to know him. And I know he's gone through certain things in life. And we're going to ask him questions.
Oh, my God. If I had my tie, I'd be like,
right, it starts getting hot. So tell us about yourself, a little bit about yourself.
Wow. Well, I'm glad I made you happy when you got your house.
Right?
It's funny because this morning I was thinking about that. How long have I known you? And
I think it's been, 3 years?
More than 4? That, because I've been married 3 years, and I was with you, showing you houses and with
before
you
Angie, yeah.
way before Angie even came in my life. So it's like, it's been a long time. It's been
oh my God. And we met, honestly, it was at a networking event in Lake Nona somewhere. Yes. And I can't remember exactly where it was at, but it was there that you and I hit it off, and we were talking or whatever, and then just
a good networking event. You were accountants, and I was a realtor. And, and then she says, "I need help," and I'm like, "I'm here." So yeah.
So a lot of the things that happen too is just when you're self-employed, because I own my own business, even though it's its own entity. In the mortgage world, they still, consider you as self-employed. So there's certain things that need to be done. So certain houses fell through because of that, and it was so hard.
And that was heart-crunching.
It was heartbreaking. Yes. But you know what? Honestly, before the marriage, I'm grateful that it did fall through before the marriage, because he wouldn't have been on the mortgage, but he would have been on the deed of the house. And when you go through things, and when you're happy, everything's great. But then when you're no longer happy with that person and money gets involved, things get kind of weird. So I'm happy I didn't have to fight over a house that,
would have been yours.
Yeah, I would have been pissed. I would have been really pissed. Like, I didn't, for my divorce, I didn't fight for nothing. Like, this is yours, this is mine, that's it. Yeah. But I didn't have a house. So I don't know how he would have been if the house would have been involved. So I'm grateful. Could
have been a controlling thing and vindictive. And I'm not saying, I'm just saying that's what happens when divorces come. I mean, literally, for this bottle of water, I've seen people fight for this one bottle of water just because they don't want the other person to have it.
Well, I know you went through a divorce yourself.
Yeah. It was a crazy divorce.
It was a crazy divorce?
Actually, no. She shocked me, and she didn't. When we separated, when she left and everything, I just said, "You're not." First time I stood up for myself, said, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve anything. What I'm going to do is sell everything. Once everything's paid off, I'll give you 50%, 50%. We move on our life. And you know what? She stood with that all the way to the divorce. The only thing that was a nightmare was child support.
So we went ahead and you didn't get to introduce yourself and your background and where you're at right now.
So my name is Ernie Plaza Sr., 54 years old. That's something that's hitting me now. Let's see. I've retired from the Army. I'm 22 years as a reserve. I was a drill sergeant. I was actually the senior drill sergeant for here in Orlando. I helped create the drill sergeant unit here. And my last couple years was basically helping new drill sergeant candidates to become drill sergeant. And then I transferred to basically recruiter for the reserves. It was the easiest way to get out of the drill sergeant mode because these knees can no longer run. And I was able to retire. Let me see. I've worked at it all. My first job was pharmaceuticals, 8 years. I could tell you how to make penicillin. Literally.
You know I'm allergic to penicillin.
Yeah, really? No. You got your ring. You should have a little bracelet. I don't have one. I got to get you one. Let me see. You went into food processing, manufacturing. I reached the level of operations manager for Domino's Sugar. I was promoted to the Chicago plant, lived there for a year.
Oh, is that why you were in Chicago for that? Okay.
Yeah. And then the market crashed and it didn't last that long because I missed my kids. It was the first time I was ever away from my kids. And it was not a good life. You know, you always worry about your kids that you're not around. And I had to be there. So losing my job there kind of was a blessing because I was able to come home. But it was just starting. I mean, shoot, I worked at an arcade just to pay child support. Wow. People would tell me I'm overexperienced. It was a crazy time, you know. But I've done it: manufacturing, military, law enforcement.
I was gonna say you were a cop for some time. Yeah,
too, right? Ages ago. Yeah, 4 years. Yeah.
Why'd you leave that?
Divorce. It's never a good thing. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go back to Jersey, and I'm gonna be a cop over there. But I was already 35, and in Jersey had a state law that you have to be appointed your position by your 35th birthday. Literally sitting front to front with the sheriff, and he's like, I can't change that law. And then I just came back, and that's when the market crashed. The market crashed, and it was just trying to find a new job, new way. And I went back into manufacturing, and just because, you know, you're only making $10, $12 an hour to be a cop. And that was back then, you know, 2000s.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't understand why it's so little for the putting your life on line. Yeah.
Teachers get underpaid. Law enforcement gets underpaid. A lot of people say firemen get underpaid. But you know what? I remember one fire that I was out there and literally stopping people from going in and just see firemen that I know from the city just run in there. Yeah, they deserve every penny, everything they get, you know. I just think services like that, you know, those are people who have selfless service for you. And people look at them as, oh, that's a job. No, they're doing that because that's them.
Yeah, and a lot of people just go in it because they really want to do it and they love it. Because I don't know about I don't think anyone looks at the pay and say, oh, I want to be a firefighter because they get paid great.
It's like same thing with a cop. I remember running through an orange grove field just to grab a guy who left my partner's traffic stop. And I'm running through Orange Grove. By the time I got to the police department, it was all scratched up in my face from the orange trees because oranges have big spikes. And he just had a little warrant. I mean, it's different worlds. So I wore many hats. And finally, I've been doing real estate 9 years. I wanted to leave corporate America, corporate military, because the military's turned corporate. And I've been doing real estate.
So were you in the reserve for the Army?
Yeah.
So how long were you doing that?
Well, I did that for 22 years. I was out for 8 years when we first moved here to Florida. And it was actually my ex-wife said, you need to go back in the reserves. And it's because she saw that I needed something. I needed to give back. I needed to do something else. And I went back in there. And that's when I helped start the drill sergeant unit. So
I don't know if I ever told you this story about this is so funny. I did write this in the book. So it's like I was going through my own thing. I was 18 years old and I wanted to get out of the situation that I was in. So I thought about Air Force. I'm going to go to the Air Force. And coming from a kid that has trauma and getting yelled at and beat and all of that, I don't think military was the great place for me. So I went, they took me to take the test and all that. And I went into the building and I guess they're drill sergeants and they're yelling at the people. And I started to like, it triggered me that I literally sat there and I didn't even read the questions of that test and I was just filling in the bubbles so I can bomb that test purposely so I wouldn't go. But if not, I would have been in the military. But it was traumatic to me.
For me, the military was a way out of the city. You know, I lived in the projects, very poor. I remember being in line, the cheese lines to get cheese, you know, for my mom, for we could eat. And
back then, was it those blocks?
The big, you know. And I remember the recruiter came to school. He popped in this video, some guy holding on and swinging across a river. I'm like, I want to do that, idiot. I mean, literally. I remember being scared to death. Like literally, first time away from home, shivering, scared. And some big guy yelling in front of me and another one here for a nail clipper. I mean, it was something I never experienced, but it was the best thing for me, you know.
I mean, I think that's why a lot of people go to the military still. It's just a way out of whatever situation they're currently in. Quite a few people that I know, that's how they ended up leaving. I don't see it any bad because there's a lot of opportunities that people receive from it, but I just couldn't do it. Like I was very traumatized, and it was just that one morning. And waking me up at 5 o'clock in the morning was a no-go. I am not a morning person until this day.
It's where I had my realization that because I was bullied all my life, right? And when you're bullied and when you're tiny, I was like 110, 5'7", skinny, Puerto Rican kid. Like never did push-ups ever in my life. And when I first did push-ups, I was like, wow, I could do it. And I remember there was a thing called Mega Minute. Literally, drill sergeant came in and said, all right, Mega Minute. And basically, we all get on the floor. We start to do push-ups for 8 minutes, nonstop. You can't stop. Or if you stop, you have to hold up. And my best friend that went to the military with me was also my bully, right? You know, like.
So your bully was your best friend?
Yeah, it was like a weird relationship. Yeah, it was a weird relationship. All my life he protected me from bigger people beating him up. So it was we look back at it now, he had a lot of issues because his father was an alcoholic, his brother was a drug dealer and all this other stuff, right? That's why I don't drink. We saw how it affects him, and his father died from alcohol. But anyway, we're doing push-ups, and I looked down the road and he couldn't make it, and I did. And that's when I realized, like, it's all in my mind. I could do whatever I say I'm going to do. And that was like 18 years old, I realized that. And that there was no stopping from that. Once you accept that and you truly, truly accept it, that you really control, even if it's just stay there, right? You never quit, nothing will stop. And that's how very early in my life, I had everything. I mean, I became a supervisor for the pharmaceutical company. I was making $58,000 in 1990. What? I mean, literally, right. No, I didn't go to college, but I went to all military schools, promotion after promotion after promotion. And it was just what I learned and was instilled in me in the military. And just the fact that I learned that I could not stop. Just
it's your mindset. Going. You had to change that mindset. Yeah. A lot of people get held back because they feel they can't. And it's just the mindset. Have that shift. In the morning, I tell, you met my boyfriend. So he tends to be very negative all day long. And it's like, can you stop with that mindset? Yeah. Like be in the morning, be like, okay, I'm going to have a great day. And your day's going to be great. As soon as you wake up and you nub a toe or whatever, and then you start, it's going to be a horrible day. Then it's going to be a horrible day. So it's like mindset for everyone. I always say that.
But it's funny. I learned that in Keller Williams.
Really?
Yes, because Keller Williams, I paid for a class called Bold, business objective life by design. And it's literally puts you out there that you're not going to quit. You're not going to stop. You got to do all, but that's where I started learning about mindset. It's a lot more younger people now get to understand mindset, but in my age, nobody talked about mindset in the 80s and the 90s. We didn't know what the hell that was, right? So thank God that things have changed where technology puts it out there for people like you sharing your stories and all that stuff opens up their eyes and they could focus on other things. But I learned that in Keller Williams. And when I learned that again, because as Jerry, I'm from up north. Up north is a different type of person. Mm-hmm. You know that. We're all on guard. You can't even open a door for anybody. They're like, what do you want? Like, right. So that's like when I moved here, there was another chip away from who I used to be with each pass of my life. Like, I was a husband for 18 years, a father for 18 years. And I say that because after the divorce, I couldn't have my kids every other week, and if she was okay with me, I will have them, right? Control. So each passing was a different person. I always say I'm a Gemini. I have two sides, right? I had more. So,
well, I get it, because when I moved down from Chicago, that mindset did have to shift. I was pretty much positive, but in the environment that you grew up in Chicago, it was everyone is so negative, and it's like a survival mode all the time. Right. So, and your parents, I know in my household, the parents, what they will teach you is you're supposed to go to school, find a job, and work the rest of your life, and that's it. Yeah. Like, you made it, that's the American dream, that's it. But they didn't teach me anything else about being creative. Well, my mom did, but that's not a life that it's gonna afford anything for you, whatever. So one of my biggest thing was my mom going to church on Sundays, and then Sundays was the worst day for us because she came out of church and she was the most negative person ever. So
oh my God.
Yeah.
You're supposed to go to church and sing and be happy.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was like the demon came out of her. And that's the reason why, and I swear, and I try not to swear as much or whatever, but when someone's constantly swearing, it's like, oh my God, like, chill out. And I get it. Not everybody's going to think like me, but you're in the real estate world. You have to hustle to get your next paycheck and all of that stuff. And I'm an entrepreneur, so I got to hustle to make sure I get paid, my employees get paid. So if I have a negative mindset, I wouldn't have a roof over my head.
Right. And I guess we learned that from the trials, right?
The trial and error,
like,
yeah.
That period where you just don't want to get out of bed and you're just like, oh my God, I don't want to deal with this again. I don't want to deal with, and you lose that day. And then somewhere in the night, if you have learned that, stop being negative, you say, what did I just do to myself? I just lost them. I was not productive for a whole day. And my kids would say, when they hear me speak like that, they're like, oh my God, here we go again. Dad's working again, But no, it's you could be productive at home just to wash clothes, mop the floor, pull the weeds from the garden. It's being productive, being active for something good than versus sitting there and sulking and saying,
my life is shit.
Yeah. But
go outside, take a walk. Yeah. I get it. So you were going through all of that. You did go through the divorce. You said you had multiple jobs and you were a weekend dad for a while.
Right.
How did you get through that?
It's funny because it's now that, because my kids are big already, right? Mm-hmm. So my daughter's 33, my son's 30, my other son's 27. 3 kids, 3 years apart, right? Mm-hmm. Perfect. But like, now that my son has a daughter and then seeing him going through certain things, I literally had to say, time out. I got to stay away from you. And he's like, but I need you, because we have that argumentative way of being, which we are working on that, which my daughter is the psychiatrist and says,
she's
stop
a mediator.
Yes, she is. But we acknowledge that we have those type of patterns and we work on it. But I had to tell him, I said, I'm reliving what I went through and I can't go through that again. And all I'm going to give you is my baggage. I'm going to give you my negative.
So you never healed from it?
No, because I hate to say this, but because I am a man, I was treated differently in the system where you would think it should be fair. See, at least for me, being military, being prior law enforcement, being a person of position in jobs, I've always felt through my life that fair is fair. Mm-hmm. So a person like myself, when I put my hands into the government and say, okay, I just want what's fair, and then you get mistreated another way, it really burns you. It really like sulks. I mean, I lost sleep. I lost very negative, very angry because you expect someone to stick up for you. Mm-hmm. And in life, you have to realize you have to stick up for yourself, right? Even I remember one time I told my mom, you didn't prepare me for this, you know? And my mom, beautiful Puerto Rican mother she is, because I said, I been married, got the house, got the kids, but you never prepared me for divorce. Yeah. You know what my mom said? I don't know if I could curse here, but my mom said, you're a grown-ass, in Spanish, you're a grown-ass man. Don't come to me with that. You should have known that by now. You need stop that bullshit and just put that away. And that's...
So it's basically suck it up and keep it moving.
Suck it up and keep it moving, but for me, it was more like I had permission. Mm-hmm. See, I told you before we weren't online, but I was raised by a single mother, 4 kids, one that's mentally challenged. I don't even know what to say anymore. The last time I said something, my daughter chewed me out because I said something that I'm accustomed to.
Yeah, is it mental illness?
She has the mindset of a 2-year-old. Okay, so I have a sister that can't take care of herself, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine that, and then imagine having 3 sisters. I'm the only male. I'm the baby. So I learned all the secrets. I mean, I used to sit there and like, you treat him like this, you treat him like that. Make sure you cover this. You hide this, you hide that. I mean, I heard it all.
So you're opposite of me.
I heard it all. So when I was married, and she had everything, but because of that movement, and because of the women movement, right? You know, women want to be equal and do everything like men, which for a person like myself, I never had that in my mind. Mm-hmm. I joined the military when I was 18. Mm-hmm. Women weren't in the military yet, right? It was just all men. I was a drill sergeant, and I had one of the first male-female co-ed platoons. And so I've been, since 21, I've been instilling, you will do this. I don't care if you're a female. I don't care what you think. Stop that sassiness. Stop that. You're not that right now. You're a soldier. You're green. You're this. Mm-hmm. So I kind of was raised that way too. Mm-hmm. So I had that standard on women. Before women want to say, hey, we want to be equal, I was already, then just show me. Mm-hmm. You know, like I told my daughter one time, because I love my daughter, raised her strong female. So don't you ever tell a man, oh, I'm independent. Because if you have to say that, you're not independent. You just be independent and you show him. Actions speak louder. Mm-hmm. And you know what? She's like, Dad, I never thought about it that way. And let me tell you, my daughter scares me. She is a true daddy's daughter and mom's daughter, because my ex-wife was very strong. Very strong woman. I can't be with passive women. Mm-hmm. I have to have that equal. And I say that because just as I hold a high standard, I give a high standard. I give back, you know, the things that, because I was always raised, I wanted to get married, have my kids, never get divorced. So for divorce for me was very hard because it meant failure, but it meant more of my kids were not going to have their parents. Mm-hmm. So I suffered a lot of years because of that, you know. And
so you had to suffer in silence because you weren't.
Yes, I couldn't share that because, first of all, people, you know, they didn't support. I would ask for help. Like, again, I would go to child support. They're like, no, I'm sorry, you're unemployed. I get it. But you got to have a job before I could redo the child support. I'm like, everywhere I go, they say I'm overqualified, you know. But dealing with the kids that I only had them every other weekend, seriously, every other weekend. And then if she was in a good mood, I say that because there have been times like, no, and don't bring that girl over here. Because I would have a new girlfriend and the girl would be in the car. Not that I did it deliberately, but literally wanted to pick up my kids. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, I couldn't do that. You know, there was all these things I had to do just to have my kids. So I was very silent for a long time. And now since last year, the year before, me and my kids are starting to share things that happen in the background. And I'm in that position again where, do I talk shit or do I still be the bigger person for my kids don't hurt? Because that's what I went through as a man.
I get it. I don't talk shit about anyone. I look at it, okay, what is the lesson that I learned from it? Like, the person is a good person. They just did shitty shit.
Yeah. For me, it was more, and this was my experience, right? I didn't have no way to voice it. So I remember that one time my ex-wife said, oh, those girls don't love you. They only want you for your uniform. So what I did, I went and got more girls because I knew that was the only way I could make an impact where she would see me, right?
Yeah.
Because I needed her to see me for I could exist.
Yeah.
Because I was just a paycheck, not a dad. You know, I mean, I could go on, and I don't want to talk bad about it, but it was literally a lot of things that my kids now remember, and I find myself again. Do I say the truth? Talk shit? Or do I just...
I'm sure there's a way you can spin it where you can tell your story without having to talk shit about
Me and my daughter opened up a lot. And I literally said, come on, Nairi, you were the oldest one. You were 11, 12.
Your daughter's the oldest?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought she was the middle one.
No, she was my oldest. My son, Ernie, is the middle one, the cop. And she says, yeah. I said, look back. Do you think that person was just standing there because he wanted to be there? Or do you think that other person was standing? Yeah, so it was because kids also closed the doors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was my biggest thing when I found out what she did. All those doors that I closed to survive were literally, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap, pendejo. Like, and it was a realization, you know? So I don't want to do that to my kids. But there's like me and my son one time, I said, when am I finally going to be able to voice what I went through? And he says, I don't want to go through that, Dad.
They don't want to have that image of their mom in a bad way.
They lived the same thing I lived. So it was a reminder of, I had to call it out. I said, oh, we're going to call the elephant what truly is the elephant. You're old enough to understand what it is. And this is what it is. And it was a big thing when we all agree, like, wow, that is true. And it helps you with realizing, because now you could look at her different, right? Or him or that person has an issue. Once you really acknowledge what they have, then you understand the baggage they have and why they act that way, you know?
So you going through that and now your son going through his own situation with his child, you really want to run away from him in that situation?
it was to the point that, and he's not going nowhere near what I went through. Like I told him one day, I said, dude, you got 50-50, man. That's like freaking awesome. Like, you know, and I see my granddaughter.
Yeah.
And I see that my son has her every day he's off. And I see that he's a good dad. I see that he cooks, he cleans, he takes care of her, right? Everything I used to do when I was in the house, he did. And I told him, when you guys were with me, I did all those things to the best I could with the most I could, right? Literally, they told my ex-wife one day, you better go check on Dad. He's not eating. He has nothing in the refrigerator. And you know what? She came, knocked on my door. She goes, what is this that the kid? And literally, she just walked in, opened the refrigerator. She's, you got to take care of yourself. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't have no money. I have to pay all this stuff, all this child support. And it's, you know, realizations that happen in real life, because this happens to everybody, whether they're in argument mode or whatever. But it's those little things made him a better dad. And I hope he couldn't stay with Mom, right? Because they broke up, you know, typical young people. But at least his journey is different because he gets to have his daughter and she gets to be with abuelo, right? I love abuelo. Even though she's very reserved. She loves females. She'll play with Angie all day long and I'm like trying to play with her and she's like,
no. Get away.
You know.
So you said that you didn't have food in your refrigerator. So you had struggled with financially back then. So how long did that last for you?
I went through periods. Look at my ears are turning red. I went through periods where when the market crashed, Domino Sugar let me go. Hey, this position's never existed before. It was new for you. We got to cut back. You're let go. I was unemployed for about 2 years.
Oh, wow.
2 years.
So how are you surviving through that?
I literally did something that I should have not done. I worked at an arcade to try to supplement unemployment because all the unemployment, they were taking it to give it to her. And I remember one time I said, because she wanted more money, you know, and I'm like, you go to unemployment. And they treated her the same way they treated me. And she called me complaining. And I was like, welcome to my life, you know. Excuse me. I worked at an arcade, and that was beautiful because when I have my kids, go play. Here's tokens.
So why'd you say I did something I should have never had done?
Remember who I am, right? So I look at it like I'm collecting unemployment and I have an under-table job, you know. So yeah, that bothered me for a while, but it was the only way
to survive.
And my kids talk about those little memories when we were in the arcade and Dad's fixing the machine and playing all these little games
But they love those memories.
Yes.
That's what we were talking about the other day, that so many people, what they do is for Christmas, that they go all out and buy these lavish gifts, and then you give this kid a dollar store toy, and they always go after those dollar store toys as opposed to these big lavish gifts. So that's why I tell people, you don't understand where the mind of a child. These little things like that, they're going to remember. Right. Forever. And I'm sure they remember that. And it's just like one of their happy moments in life as opposed to anything else.
It's like the old thing we learned with our kids. I remember one Christmas where, because when I bought my first house, when I was 21. First one in the family ever to buy a house. And I had a good mentor at work. And so that meant that everybody from the family, from her side, family from my side, now Hondurans are different, right?
Hondurans. You always say that.
Yeah, we talked about this, right? So they are party people. Puerto Ricans, true to our culture, where we're a mixture of 3 different nationalities and 3 different types, right? I'm the quiet type. I'm very, my mom was very alone. No parties in the house. You go visit people. People don't visit you. So they're opposites attract, right? Right. But there was one Christmas where the whole wall was just full of toys. And that was the best memory for me because I was like, wow, that I could do that. Because, I mean, I was raised where I remember my mom, I wanted to play baseball. And my mom went and bought a glove and shoes at Bargain Man. I don't know. Bargain Man is a store in New Jersey that it's basically a 99-cent store. Oh, wow. She brought me a plastic glove and plastic shoes for I could go play baseball. And I remember saying, I don't want to win. But that's all my mom could do. Yeah. You know? And to see that, yeah, it was like, wow, you know. But I remember that with Ernie, we got him one of those toys, and it came in a big box, and all the kids played with that damn box. I remember all of us, like, you know, me, my ex-wife, my ex-brother-in-law, his wife, the other brother-in-law, grandma, everybody just like shocked, like
the box.
They like the box.
Yeah.
The box. You know?
And that's the reason why I don't like to give out gifts like that, because I remember growing up, it's more, although I went through the things that I went through with my mom, she would give us more memories as opposed to actual gifts. So even with the simple things, we learned how to be very appreciative of that. But it was a lot with my mom. Like my mom, she fucked my head up a lot, but she also taught me a lot. Yeah. So although we didn't have much, for the holidays and certain points in our life, she will take us to go feed the homeless and give back to the community and all of that. And she will always tell us, although we don't have much, there's someone out there that has a lot less. Yeah. So that helped me understand and appreciate everything, even if someone gives me $1, whatever. Right. So I learned that very early on. But kids, the simplest things, they just love it. And that's the memories they have. Like I gave my nephew this, like, it was like $5 or something, this little horse set or whatever. And everybody else was giving him so many things. And from all of it, he left everything alone and he was messing with that horse set the whole entire time. So it's not the big value because they don't understand that. It's just something that they're really going to be attracted to.
It's something that's corporate America.
Yeah.
Corporate America instills that on us with the commercials.
But we also want to give, I mean, I don't have any human kids, but seeing my friends and my family that, they want to give their kids something that they didn't have. But some of these kids are being spoiled and they don't appreciate it and they don't understand this. So I always tell my friends, I preach, stop it.
Yeah. That is the lesson that we have to learn as adults.
Yeah.
Because my Christmas gifts were socks and T-shirts from my mom, right? And I could look back at it now and understand why. That's all she could give. And it was a gift and it was something I could wear to school. My clothes shopping for school was 3 pairs of jeans and 3 shirts. And I had to alternate every other day, right?
I had uniform, so.
Oh, see, we didn't have that. And I remember and my ex-wife the same way. So me and my ex-wife made a pact. We're going to be different. Yeah, we all say that, right?
Right.
We tried. But one thing was you can't give a 21-year-old $58,000 a year. I mean, I remember having so much money where I'm like, Nana, Mom, you want bought her a dining room set, right? So when it came to Christmas or clothes shopping, where we were at? Baby Gap. For people who are poor and you're buying at the Baby Gap, that's like, oh, you made it. Like,
right,
oh, wow,
Uh-huh.
So we had to learn that we couldn't give them all that, And it's funny, on my 3 kids, you'll see it. My daughter, which I love my daughter to death. My daughter's my heart. That's why she's here, right? My tattoo.
Daddy's little girl.
She is.
Oh, you have tattoo?
I have 3.
I didn't know that.
I have a heart, an eagle.
And, you're always suited, so I don't.
And Michael the Archangel on my back. Like this.
On your back?
Yeah.
Who would have known?
Heart, my strength, and my soul.
That is dope. Yeah. Who would have known?
Nairi, Ernie, and Brian. So
What's her name? Nairi?
Nairi, yes. It's African.
That's pretty.
Yeah. It's a unisex name. We got it from my ex-wife's teacher. She was pregnant, and Dilcia got pregnant the last couple months of her high school year, and she said, I like that name. So she's like, call your daughter.
Were you a teenage dad?
No, I graduated the year she was, so she came in fresh. She was freshman, I was senior. So yeah, I was out of high school already. Yeah, I was out of high school already. But we were, and that's something that I had to deal with all my life, we were that stereotype. Kids having kids. And it, a lot of people look at me, oh, you don't look your age. I really didn't look my age when I was younger. Yeah. I mean, literally, like I would walk in and I'm like, yeah, the production manager should be here. So I'm like, I'm right here. They're like, you're a kid. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I always looked so much younger.
Yeah.
I forgot where we were going with that, but
I forgot where we were going. Because I was thinking in my head too. I had to deal with that a lot with being in the banking or in the financial world. They didn't think, I still don't get that I'm 43. They think I'm much younger than what I look like. I'm like, thank you, Lord Jesus. Yeah. But then it hurts when it comes to the professional life.
Honestly, I accepted it, like my grays. You see, I'm letting my grays grow, right? When I first met you, it was always shaved, right? This is because I'm being cheap. I'm not paying $40 for a damn haircut. You know what I'm saying? But I'm accepted it. I'm letting it grow. I wish I could let it grow long. That's like I was doing my vision board and I put a guy with gray hair and a beard. I'm sorry, and my wife's just looking at it, and I didn't get to explain it yet, but I wish I could do that. I wish I could just let my hair grow, not cut it, and grow a beard.
Do you really want a beard?
It's just to see, because it is all white. I'm all white. So I look older. She doesn't like it.
Why don't you do it? Because the military mindset?
Yeah, I can't. 3 days, I'll be like a dog.
Oh.
Yeah, it just drives me crazy.
So what we were talking about was, were you a teenage dad?
Oh, so yes, Thanks for reminding.
So it's a stereotype.
I was a stereotype.
You're a statistic.
When I went to buy my mother, so they were moved to Puerto Rico, and I said, okay, Nana. I call her Nana now. I said, okay, Mom, I will buy you the dining room set, the chinero and stuff, the typical Puerto Rican chinero, and I'll ship it to Puerto Rico. And I remember shopping. It was me, my ex-wife, and our 3 kids, and my mom, and we didn't dress well back then, right? You know, jerseys, everything sweats and, you know, all that stuff. And we're going around, and the lady was just talking to my mom. And then I'm like, yeah, I would like to see it. And the lady literally, and I didn't know if it was a racial thing but I took it as they don't think I could afford it. You know, and finally said, hey, look at me. I want that table, and I want it shipped over here, and how much is it? And she goes, oh, maybe you want it. I'm like, no, actually, for that table. How much is it, and how much is it going to cost? And she goes, I said, okay, great. Just, you want a check or credit card? And she just looked at me. I'm like, you know, and it wasn't that I wanted to prove a point, but I remember walking out, I'm like, I'm tired of people looking at us like kids having kids. Since then, that's when I started getting things a little bit finer, you know, and I don't say finer, I say quality, because I learned from a friend of mine a long time ago, you buy the quality wrench to do the work, because if you keep buying the 99-cent ones, they're going to break, and you're going to buy them. So bought quality and stuff like that. And not a teenage dad, but she was the teenage pregnant girl, you know, she still graduated and all that stuff. So
how'd you become a real estate agent? What made you go that route?
Well, after the market crashed, right? And I don't mean the real estate market just recently. I mean, I forgot what year it was, like 2005, right? It was caused by real estate, but that was the period. I was not in real estate then. I got really mad with corporate America. With that position, I remember walking in my first day. I was promoted by an Italian guy. And he says, Ernie, I was here in Florida. I want you to go run my Chicago plant. And then the first couple of weeks, he takes me to the roof. I was like, you gonna throw me off the roof? He starts, you know, his name literally Italian name. He goes, stop being funny. I said, I'm here to help you. I'm gonna help you grow, you know, educate you on this next level. And about 6 months later, he was removed from refinery, and a new vice president came in, and that guy was just a numbers cruncher. Like, how can I cut people out? And I remember him saying, that guy right there, I heard he's going to retire at the end of this year, you know, or next year. I'm like, yeah, he's about 60-something years old. He's been working for the company for about 35 years old and 35 years. And he's going to retire. He goes, I need you to fire him. I'm like, what? In my head, I'm like, you know, and that was one of my first things when I learned that I can't be corporate. I'm not a corporate person. Didn't fire him. I ended up getting fired, which was a blessing. And then I joined the military again, and the military changed. And in the military, you always have that, and same thing with law enforcement. You have that old school cop that's been there, the old school drill sergeant, you know, and then you have the rookie, right, or the new drill sergeant, right? And the old drill sergeant doesn't take shit. Yeah, I found myself telling my E8s, because I was an E7, can you leave me alone, because I know what I'm doing. Don't leave me. And it got more hostile, more corporate. And when I retired, I said, I got my license around that time because I didn't want to work anymore in corporate America, and I didn't want to work in the military anymore. And I wanted to be my own boss where I could help people. I found myself, I bought a house, and the realtor says, damn, you did all the work. You should be a realtor. And about 2 years later after that, I became a realtor. And it's where I could help people make friends, right? Not give up. You know, I'm not pushy. I'm not one of those transactional agents. I'm like, oh my God, Janelle. Where literally Janelle was like, yo, back off. You know, I don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, when you're ready. Hey, you got a question? Call me, text me.
I think too with you is just you're human. You understand the situations that people go through. So I'm sure it was frustrating you when I was going through all this stuff. And it was like, oh my God, Ernie's gonna kill me.
No. And you know, it's funny because we talked about that. I don't want you to feel that way, but I felt the hurt more. And I think I took it personally the first time it didn't work through. I was like, I chewed him out.
Did you really?
Yeah. I was like, dude, what the? Because I fired people.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I will never send you someone else again.
Ernie.
Because you got to look at it this way. I'm the type of person, I do all my work beforehand.
Yeah.
I set up ourselves for success, not for failure. And with lenders, a lot of them are transactional.
Yeah.
And they won't pay for this report. They'll pay for the report 2 or 3 days before closing. That's what happened to you. And then, hey, this pops up or this happens. It doesn't make sense. And meanwhile, my client has lost inspection, appraisal, time, heart, fell in love with the house, you know. And I remember the period when people were just buying houses just to buy, right? Because it was cheaper. Even if they didn't love the house, they were still invested. And for me, when someone just pops that bubble, defense mode. Like,
it was a journey. It was a journey. So I always ask everyone that comes on, it's a few questions, but it's already almost time to wrap up.
Ernie talks a lot.
No, it's good. It's good. But for any male that has gone through the journey that you've gone through in your life, what would be your advice to them?
A true man doesn't allow himself to be manipulated, but at the same time, God don't like ugly.
That's deep, and now I'm curious. What do you mean by that?
Well, because there have been plenty of times in my life where I could have been vindictive. There are plenty of times where I could have lashed out. There could have been plenty of times where I could have said, if you do that to me, I could do it twice fold, right? So you always want to be the bigger person. And this is for a male or a female.
Yeah.
I just say that because, at least for my journey, I felt I was not listened to. I wasn't heard. I was never given the opportunity where I could have went into totally different things that I used to see all the time on the beat. And I would show up and have to deal with that. Or I would see it in the systems, all this and all that, right? A true man honors himself and honors his family and stays clean and stays focused to do good. Because later on in life, and I'm a true testament to that, later on in life, the truth always comes out and it will be hatched.
I have to commend you for still trying your best to be in their life and still supporting financially, however you were able to, whether if it was $5 or $50, whatever it was. But because although you went through that, you didn't give up on your kids, and you were still, even if it was that weekend dad, because there's so many dads that walk out because it's just so difficult and it's easier for them just to walk out. My dad walked out, so that's why I didn't get to see my dad till I was like 16, and then didn't have a relationship really with him till I was 20. Now there's nothing in his existence because my choice. But I commend men that do it because it's not easy. And it sucks, like you said, the system. And especially back then, it was all for women. Yeah. Period. Now it's not as bad, but still, men still have to struggle. And like I said, it's easier for them to get remarried, have more kids, and forget about their first kids.
Yeah, and I could never understand it. So I was raised without my dad. I met my dad when I was 16. He took me to Puerto Rico, and he came. And my mom says, "That's your dad." And I remember running down the steps because I wanted to hit him. And my mom says, you will not do that. You will respect him. And somehow he talked her into it, you know. I went to Puerto Rico, and he dropped me off at my grandfather's house. I never saw him again until 2 weeks later when he took me to the airport. And he wrote my mother a letter, and he didn't realize that I went to school, and I studied Spanish 2 years because I was in love with the Spanish teacher. But I learned how to read and write. And what he wrote was total bullshit. And when I gave it to my mom says, that's why I left him. He's a liar. He never could stand up for himself and for his kids. So my dream was I wanted to get married, have kids, and live that life. So that's why I said I never knew what to do. Because I didn't have my dad, and because I saw how that affects the kids, right? It affected me in a good way because I was determined to be a good dad, right? Yeah. I had a lot of baggage because of the way I was raised. Had a lot of baggage because who was my partner in my life, right? And the lesson learned from all of that, and it's what I learned in church, your parents pass their baggage to their kids, right? If things are not done right. So my new mission is to make sure that I'm there for my kids now, not to repeat my mistakes and her mistakes.
You're breaking those generational curses.
Trying.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. You can only try, but you're doing it because you're at least trying.
But
you acknowledge it.
Every man should do that because at one point, and every woman too, but we're talking about men right now. Every man should do that, because the stigma is that men are not there. There's a commercial on Spectrum that I truly hate. It's the one that says the chinito, and he has this little kid. He goes, "Oh, dads, I just want you to know you should be there. It's very important, and you miss every moment of it." I get mad when I see that commercial all the time. You know why? Because I take it to offense. Like, I was there and I didn't get to have that, So I'm in that mode, but I get it. There are dads that are absent. Yeah. And then they're going to try to weasel in their kid's life when they're 18, 20, 21, adult. You know what, dude? That's gone, bro. Because when it's most important for the kids is when they're little and they have their little issues that they're working with. So
in the very last question, do you feel successful?
Wow. So it's funny, as an entrepreneur, maybe you might understand this. How do you measure success?
However you measure it.
Yeah. So being in the real estate world, especially in Keller Williams, they talk about numbers and they talk about how many transactions and how much volume, but I'm not that person. I'm not about money. I remember one person telling me one time, some kid, "Oh, you rich?" I'm like, "I'm not rich, dude. I work a lot, I just like to have quality things, right? But I work a lot. People don't realize realtors don't work 8 hours a day. We work 12, 13, 7 days a week,
You're right.
I forgot what I was saying, but
the measurement of success for you.
For me, my measurement of success is how I help people. That's my big why. That's why I focus so much on veterans, because I am a veteran and people don't understand anything about veterans. If you get a realtor that does not understand the VA process, they're the ones that will allow the bank, the construction, do all these things they shouldn't be doing, right? But I measure my big why on how happy you are. That's why I call you and say, "How is great?"
I love my house.
Thank you. And I'm looking to move around that area. It's that's the only way I could measure it, and I still can't put it on paper. So that's my flaw that I'm trying to refine, right? Because in Keller Williams, we say, "What's your big why?" Yeah. And for so long, my big why was my kids. And they grew up, and they're no longer my big why. Don't get me wrong, I love my kids. Yeah. But I remember, the mindset, literally, everything I did. I absorbed chemicals for 8 years, making penicillin, that carcinogens, that I still worry to now. Am I going to end up getting cancer later on, right? Yeah. They don't know that, but I didn't care. My kids had their house, they had their basement, they were happy, So that I'm still looking on that, Successful, yes. I wake up, I have a flexible schedule if I want to, and I'll pay the dues for not working today, right? Or not making my calls today. But when someone calls me and they need help, I'm there. That makes me happy.
Yay. So if anybody was looking for a house and they want to buy a house, how can they get a hold of you?
You could give me a call, 407-334-9959. Instagram is Vet Realtor. Ernie Plaza Senior, just Google it.
Ernie Plaza Sr. Is there anything else that you would like to share really quick before we go?
Thank you for having me here. I am so happy and I love to see your success. I mean, just walking around here, I'm like, wow, it's a joy to be part of your life. Like I tell Jerry all the time, like, hey, it's fun to have Jerry. Like, you're not a client, you're a friend. And those are actually my goals. I try to make friends.
Yeah.
And never lose them. But I love to see your success. I love what you're doing. Share the word. And I love that you're doing the Man series. And I hope people open up and be part of it and accept it and not all this other other stuff.
But thank you for coming. I'm excited. I'm very happy that you came and I appreciate it. Usually we give a gift, but you got a gift when you attended our launch party. So
okay.
I'm like, I'm not going to give him another one. But thank you for tuning in to podcast She Who Thrives. Please do me a favor, subscribe, share, like, and review. We are reading the reviews so that we could continue giving the content that you want to hear and see. But thank you till next time. Bye.